Wow, there it is. And I mean, there it is. You have Miguel Cotto coming to the very last fight of his boxing career against Saddam Ali, and Cotto is a favorite to win. But you're looking at a situation with Miguel Cotto and the people that's representing Miguel Cotto, they have definitely planned this the right way for his exit. They've tried to make other fights for Miguel to have his exit fight, but they just weren't able to. So there's no shame in him fighting Saddam Ali to go out. And I shame on any boxing writer or critic who tries to do this. And Saddam Ali, this man has fought for 16 years. He fought all the people you've asked of him. The Triple G fight just don't make any sense because he's way too small to be fighting Triple G. It's just what it is. He's too small. Miguel Cotto has never been that fighter to go up that far. I mean, he had to struggle to make the weights when he was fighting at 140. And you want him to go 20 pounds up to fight a guy who's really 175? He's not that big of a guy. So I feel that this was the perfect time for Miguel Cotto to make his exit. And it's time. I mean, he needs to spend more time with his family. He missed out on a lot of years, and you could tell from the interview they did with him. I mean, it hurts. He's a very proudful father. He was very close with his dad. His dad passed away, and first the uncle was training him, and then they split, and then the dad was in his corner, and his dad was there, and that was his best friend, and his father passed away. It took a very big toll on him. And so after it took a toll on him, it changed him, made him more. I thought he was only going to fight maybe four more fights after that because it had such an effect on Miguel Cotto that I didn't think he would be able to, maintain his professional boxing career and still be effective in the ring. Now, when Miguel Cotto in his younger days, I remember him fighting, and I think right after that, the car accident happened. I remember seeing him. But this is mostly prior internet stuff. So if you didn't have any boxing knowledge or just hearing about it, you wouldn't have really known. This was like the internet was still doing dial up. And I remember they had the picture of Miguel Cotto like in the hospital. I remember seeing that photo. And I think it was either in a boxing magazine or something of that nature. I've always been a fan of Miguel Cotto. I liked it. He fought on a rhythm. He did things the way he wanted to do them. I mean, if you look at his resume and say, wow, like what is the fights that really stood out for him? The fight against Torres in 2005. This is back when they had the dial up, where you had to put your phone cord into the and you had to wait for it to load up. Max Boxing had a great review on this back then. No people like, what in the world is Max Boxing? Max Boxing was like one of the places I went to. It was like three stops. You have Fight News. You had Max Boxing, and then you had Greg Leone's boxing channel. Those were like the three ones I went to before I started going to other ones. And then getting involved in the chat rooms with Doghouse and all those guys. But Miguel Cotto back in '05, man, I mean, when he fought Torres, that was the fight that was determining everything. Torres was undefeated. He was 28-0. The Colombian could hit. And he cracked Miguel Cotto and hurt him in the fight. And everybody's like, oh man, Cotto's hurt. He hurt Cotto like two times with hooks, throwing combinations, and Ricardo Torres could crack. And this was his first real test. He had fought DeMarcus Corley, but Corley at this point couldn't hurt Miguel the way they thought. He got his attention, but Miguel was strong enough to outwill Corley. Torres fight, he was in real danger, and he had to dig down deep to win that fight. Then he fought Bronco, and that was just like, okay. Bronco was tough. He was thinking like one loss. Then Paulie Malignaggi. And as I'm sitting there with Miguel Cotto and Paulie Malignaggi right before they fight, they both in the same area. Miguel Cotto doesn't even know he's there. Paulie is walking around talking about this fight, and he made you believe in him so much. And Paulie Malignaggi was so animated, so alive. You knew, I was like, dude, this guy has got the personality to make it anywhere. This is him. This is it. So next thing you know, Cotto, he's calm the whole time. He's listening to music. He's not even thinking. Paulie's over there pointing at him and, man, look at this guy, man. Man, look. I'm gonna swell him up. Look, he's short. I'm just gonna pop him and to keep turning him all night. I'm just gonna keep popping him right in the face. Pop, 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 pop. Look, bet on me. I know I gotta find out what the Vegas odds is out here. I'm gonna find out what the odds are, and I'm gonna bet on myself because, yeah, I'm gonna bet on myself because look, you're gonna have enough money to spend for the whole summer. Bet on me, because I know this is gonna be the biggest upset. He really was convinced he was gonna beat Miguel Cotto, and what he found out was Cotto was a little bit more slick. He hit a lot harder, even though Paulie had some heart to come back towards the end of the fight. The fight was such an emotional fight that it had New York all revved up, and HBO was too stupid to even air the fight. That's why you probably never seen that fight. If you didn't have it on, if you didn't have that fight on the DVD disc, or if you didn't order it on pay-per-view, you didn't see it again. It was top rank only. And they decided to go with a Bernard Hopkins hug bore fest, and that was it. Put everybody to sleep. So the exciting fight of the night was the Miguel Cotto card that had New York and everybody buzzing versus this garbage that they had on HBO. So HBO was shooting themselves in the foot for a long time. Then they started to get on board when he beat Carlos Quintana, who was his countrymate. Then the Zab Judah fight. Then Shane Mosley. Now he's a big star, Once you beat Shane, once you beat Zab, it's a big star. Then the Gomez was the warm-up fight. Then Antonio Margarito. This is what brought him into infamy. Margarito, the top-ranked guy that they said Floyd was avoiding him. We've never done anything, but we won't go there. Then there's Miguel Cotto, right? And what is Miguel Cotto? Miguel Cotto was the guy they wanted to fight Floyd Mayweather too. There was no Manny Pacquiao talk versus Floyd at this time. It was only Cotto, Margarito for Floyd. These two fight to see which one was gonna fight Floyd Mayweather, be the guy. Well, it appeared to be Miguel Cotto was beaten by Margarito in a bloody mess, and he fought a guy who had illegal hand wraps. That changed Cotto's life forever. He came back too soon against Michael Jennings. I felt he should have probably taken a year off. He came back and beat Jennings. He came back and beat Kaladi. What's his name? Joshua Kaladi in a tough fight. Then he lost to Manny Pacquiao, and they forced him to go down in weight, and he took that fight. Yuri Foreman, he beat him, of course. Then Ricardo Mayorga knocks him out in great fashion. Then he got his revenge on Antonio Margarito. Then he lose to Floyd, and at that time, an undefeated Austin Trout. And he had to go back to the drawing board to see if this is really what he wanted to do. Comes back with Freddie Roach, and he pulls off. They've fought what? How many fights they've had? The Sergio Martinez fight was their second fight together, and Cotto won the middleweight championship of the world and was the king of the ring back then, and totally revitalized his career. He beat Daniel Gill. Then they went in with Canelo, which I thought was a draw, and they gave it to Canelo, unanimous decision. Then he just beat Guy, and after almost 2 years off from that fight, now we go right into Saddam Ali. And this will be it. Right there in Madison Square Garden in New York, where a lot of his big fights and big moments took place. I'm going to miss Miguel Cotto. He brought a lot of excitement into the boxing ring. I remember one of the boxing writers when they had the cake. I think it was Shane Mosley's birthday, and they had the cake, and they had Cotto on this one side, and they had Shane. They had the two of them standing up, and then somebody took Shane Mosley and laid him down, face down in the cake. And Cotto was like, "No, no, 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 don't do that." And he took Miguel Cotto's, the little figurine they had of Shane Mosley, and they laid him in the cake. Cotto took him and stood him up and said, "No, don't do that. That's disrespect." And Shane Mosley's wife fell in love with Miguel Cotto. She was like, "What a gentleman! Oh my God! Like he is. Oh my God, he's incredible." So yeah, and I knew that marriage wasn't gonna last too much after that. Your wife is screaming about the competition. Oh man. So with that being said, you know, Wish Miguel Cotto the best, and I'm out.